is his first name. Ray is his middle name. It's been that way since the day 40 years ago when he introduced himself to his first DePaul team. His story is 4 decades of loyalty and devotion to one woman, one school, and one sport.
Play this way. Protect the basket. Make him go out. And the middleman, make sure you take this guy coming over. Do you understand it?
Locker room talk number 1007 in Coach's 40 years. The opponent, St. Joseph's, the team that knocked DePaul from last year's national tournament.
Now we got to play defense tonight. We haven't played it in 3 games. And rebounding, we want to control the boards. Remember, 49-48. We owe this one to Clyde Bradshaw and Mark Aguirre, 2 people that left. I'm sure that wherever they are tonight, they're watching us in this ball game. And we owe it to ourselves most of all. Let's go. All right, good luck, fellas. Let's get rolling. Oh, defense already. All right, let me talk 1 minute, fellas. That was a real tough ball game to win. I'm very proud of you. We were down 5 and we came back. We showed a lot of poise at the end there. And we got it. It's a good one to take home. They beat us like that last year. They deserve one in return. That's right. They deserve one in return. Fellas, I'm very proud of you tonight. Let's say a prayer of Thanksgiving, we'll go.
Man, these are the type of games you're going to play in the tournament. We got to win here.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women.
Hello, everybody. I'm Chet Coppock. The coach was raised on the south side of Chicago in a home that stood on this vacant lot. Young Ray used to shoot baskets behind the house. Generations later, Mark Aguirre would shoot baskets on the same lot. The Chicago of Ray's youth was the Chicago of Carl Sandburg's writings. Brawling, bustling, a city on the make. His family was one of the few Catholic families in a predominantly Jewish working-class neighborhood. Ray was the youngest of 10 children, left fatherless when Ray was still small. Frank Heidenreich became a major influence on Ray, a stern man who believed in discipline and fair play. Heidenreich supervised Lawson Playground. Ray developed his athletic skills in softball, football, and baseball, and met longtime friend Ed Hookie Goldstein at Lawson. Together, they won numerous championships, including a national softball title.
I never played much basketball until I was in 7th or 8th grade, and I played very little then. I think the big reason I started playing basketball is the St. Agatha's, where we went to church. They built a gymnasium, a little gymnasium, and there was a place to go at night and place to for all winter, and I really became interested in basketball in there, and I played an awful lot that way.
Ray's basketball prowess led to a National Catholic High School championship when he helped St. Patrick's Academy win the 1932 Loyola tournament. Before St. Pat's, Ray spent 2.5 years at Quigley Preparatory Seminary before deciding that the priesthood was not for him.
I met Ray at Old St. Agatha's at Kedzie and Douglas, and I was dating someone at the time, and there was a club, I think they called it the Agathenians or something like that, and I used to go to the dances there, and that's how I met Ray, and I thought he was pretty cute.
Cute he may have been, but it was another year before Ray and Marge started dating. Marge was an outstanding basketball player herself. When she joined a team Ray coached at St. Agatha's, the lifelong romance began to blossom.
It was during Depression. I remember when we dated, we'd look at our money, and I'd have enough money to go to the show, and we'd go to the old Marlboro, and we'd have to walk
Well, if he had enough, if we walked both ways, we could get a soda.
Well, those were the days, yes. And then I went to Notre Dame, and I left for school, and I started to play a little bit at Notre Dame. She used to come down to Notre Dame quite often and watch the games and come down on Sundays.
Like I never missed a game.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Ray played for Coach George Keegan at Notre Dame from 1935 through 1938. 62 wins, 8 losses, and a tie in 3 seasons. Notre Dame was named national champions in Ray's sophomore year, and Ray was voted captain of the Irish as a junior and senior. Ray went from college basketball to the major leagues of sociology. He became a social worker at Halstead and Madison.
So I saw Life in the Raw. That was my first job, and I had about 6 months, and it was very depressing, and I'd go home at night, and I'd bring a lot of the problems and the troubles of other people home with me, and finally I left that, and I went to the LaSalle Hotel and coached and played there with their basketball team in the AAU League.
Ray and Marge married in 1939. Joliet Catholic High School offered him $1,700 to coach basketball. Ray held out for 18. The night the deal fell through, Ray got a call from Notre Dame. Keegan had suffered a heart attack. Would Ray come down and take over as assistant coach?
Well, it was great because we had our first child down there, and that was an exciting thing for us because we had been married 3 years and weren't able to have any children, and then finally we had our oldest girl.
By the time Barbara, the first of 6 Meyer kids, was born, Keegan was fully recovered. Keegan urged an uncertain Meyer to take the head coaching job at DePaul. Ray still wasn't convinced coaching was for him, but agreed with Keegan to try it for 1 season. Meyer signed at DePaul for 1942. In the 40 years since, DePaul and Coach have shared the rich and the lean times. Ray has always had a fierce loyalty to DePaul, even when they talked of de-emphasizing the sport. Michigan, Minnesota, and the Bulls were unsuccessful in luring him away from DePaul. Over the years, Ray has even rejected numerous offers of the coaching job at his alma mater, Notre Dame.
He's a man of peace, he's a man of love, and above all, he's a man of family. In Chicago, you're lucky to have him.
I think it'd be very difficult for a coach to stay in coaching 30, 40 years today because the pressures are so great. He's got a big building. How do you fill the building? You have to have a great team. How do you get a great team? You have to recruit. It's a vicious circle of going round and round. If he doesn't fill the building and they don't make money on his program, then they get a new coach. So there are a lot of pressures that I never had. We always had a small building. If we played before 1,500, it was a good night. And then we started to get pretty good teams here in about the last 8 years with the Corzine era there. Then you couldn't get in on them, they all. Then we moved to the Horizon, and they sold about 14,000 season tickets to the Horizon. I wonder if we start losing, will they come out and support the team that well? Because in coaching, you're only as good as about your last game or 2. I'll go 2 games, not more than that, because if you lose too many, somebody's going to be after you. I started with George Mikan, and of course, when you win, you like it a lot more. And I started up on the top, worked myself all the way to the bottom, and now trying to climb up again. At DePaul, we never had recruiting budgets until 1971, and we didn't have dormitories, so all the recruiting was done here in the city of Chicago. It's only been the last few years that we've ever had out-of-towners.
I still don't feel that he gets dynamite players. Cummings might be the best he's ever had. There's been 50 Mark Aguirres around. He didn't have a Bob Cousy, a Wilt Chamberlain, an Oscar Robinson, a Larry Bird. When he gets a player, he seems to be able to get them to improve. As they go through their 4 years at DePaul, they get better. There are a lot of schools that ball players go to and they get worse.
College basketball career started at DePaul University back in 1941. I received a scholarship to DePaul through the graces of a fellow named Paul Mattei, who was the athletic director at that time. And our coach was a fellow by the name of Went.
While at DePaul, George Mikan was given a tryout at Notre Dame by Keegan and his assistant, Ray Meyer, in 1941. Shortly after, Mikan had broken a bone in his left foot.
When the tryouts were over, George Keegan and Ray called me into the office, and I'll never forget George Keegan saying to me, "George, you should return to DePaul University. You'll make a better scholar than you will a basketball player."
Fate tossed Mikan and Meyer together at DePaul in 1942.
We just fell into each other. And when I started to coach, I looked at the material that we had at hand, and I figured if we could get that big guy, develop that big man, we'd have a great basketball team. I even hired a girl to teach him how to dance. I thought that would make him more coordinated. And I had a little boy by the name of Billy Donato, who was about 5'6", and I'd have George guarding Billy out in the middle of the floor. Looked like Mutt and Jeff, and Billy would go around him, and I'd make George go out there and guard that poor kid. And it looked like an elephant chasing a fly there for a long time.
Well, I think he was the reincarnation of Simon Legree. He was a tough taskmaster, but he was fair. He made us work hard.
George was never satisfied with being mediocre. I always thought he was one of the greatest competitors I ever saw. We won the Invitational Tournament in 1945, and at that particular time, the Invitation was more prestigious than the NCAA. He would have been a great basketball player if he were only about 6 foot tall. But the very fact that he was about 6'9½" made him such a tremendous ball player. In his day, he dominated the game.
We were playing in Madison Square Garden against Long Island, as I recall. And our locker room was the same locker room that Joe Louis used when he fought at the Garden. And we're in there, and we stunk out the Garden the first half. We just played horribly. And we got back in that locker room, and he has a nice... First thing he does, he takes the coat off. And you know, he's going to get into his act. The next thing he done is he reached up on the wall, and he said, "You fellas are desecrating Joe Louis's locker room." He reaches up and grabs a hold of the coat hooks, which are cemented into the wall, and he grabs it and whoom, he pulls them out. He's fiery. Needless to say, the second half we went out and we won the game.
Both Mikan and Meyer hold places of honor at the Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield, Massachusetts. When Meyer was inducted in 1979, it was Mikan who presented Ray to the Hall.
Ray, as a coach, is a man that really cares for his people. I've never seen him in a situation where, after the players leave DePaul, they say anything bad about the man. And that's the greatest compliment you can have as a coach.
Joe Ponsetto is one former player you might think would have something bad to say about Coach. After all, they spent a good portion of 4 years screaming at each other. As a freshman, Joe threatened physical violence during one practice session and was banished from Alumni Hall. Ponsetto bears no grudges against Coach, in spite of their past disagreements. In fact, Ponsetto feels he owes a lot to Ray Meyer.
When I went to school, the first 4 years here, all I cared about was basketball. I got decent grades, C+, B-, which wasn't enough to get into law school. But Coach and the administration, he recognized that I had something on the ball. So when I did apply for law school, I had no trouble getting in. Coach went to bat for me and offered to just, to pay, to front it and pay for my schooling if I wanted him to or anything, which I didn't end up having to have him do. But I'm sure he would have.
He was a practice coach. In practice, we would go over things that the other team would do, and we would get that down. And when the game time came, we would be ready. And to me, I feel that was a great contribution to helping us become the kind of team that we became, because it enabled us to overwhelm the other team because we knew what they were going to do. And he prepared us very well in practice. And when the game time came, we were ready. He yelled a lot in practice. Every day he would holler, at least I say about 45 minutes, continued hollering. During a game in my last year, he called timeout, called us over. And one time he came over and he just started to, and nothing would come out. And we were all shocked, and we all started snickering to ourselves, because that's the first time he ever was a loss for words.
Coach has 6 boys and girls, and they got a new dog when I was in school, and my nickname is Hershey, and they named that dog Hershey.
Howie was one of my favorites, a little bit of a guy. Oh, he said he was 5'8", maybe. That's with high heels. And he shot about 23 free throws that night, and Howie could blast that ball up. A great shooter.
A lot of people forget that. It was an overtime game. And we ended up winning, I think, by 3 points, somewhere in the 80s. I don't even remember anymore, although it still seems like yesterday, 20 years ago.
When I first went at Ray, I'm going back now in the middle 60s, he was a very aggressive coach. When we went in at halftime in his gym, the old Alumni Hall, the old confessional box where they used to play their ball games, there was partition between the rooms. And I could hear him yelling. And when he stopped yelling, I'd start yelling at my ball players, and it would go back and forth.
I think the best thing that ever happened, though, is up there is the fella from the radio station in Milwaukee came down and asked me how we were going to play Marquette that night. And I went in and I talked to him. That was about an hour before the game. Well, about a half an hour before the game, I walked by the visiting team locker room, and there this fella was playing it for Al McGuire. I said, that's enough for him. I'll never interview with that fella again.
I remember once there was a bathroom, maybe about 4 Johns in between us, and I was doing my pre-game radio show because it was quiet in the bathroom, and Ray came in and flushed the toilets.
And I flushed all the toilets so he couldn't move. I kept flushing.
which blew the show.
I think the most disappointing loss was the loss to St. Joe a year ago, because we had a real good ball club and we didn't show anything that night. I may have gotten over the feeling, but it's still in the back of my head. If I had it all to do all over again, we'd have never blown it. And I blame myself for that. I never doubted that our player was going to miss the free throw.
All right, now wait. If they're only 1 point lead, we got to go one.
And they give us a 2 shot.
Wow, one. He'll make both of them anyway.
If he makes both, you want to go zone.
If he makes both of them, we go zone.
If we're only up 1, then we're going to
go man-man. Or if he makes the first one, and we're up 2, we'll play zone.
Come make them both.
One if we're man-to-man. But make them make a token press so they waste some time coming up.
I left the decision to them, which I should never have done. We had 2 players went out to the corner to guard one person. There we left the St. Joe player all alone under the basket. And I could see that ball going through. And my heart dropped 10 feet. The one that really stands out is the one that put us into the Final Four, the UCLA game. Boy, they were awesome. They looked great. I didn't even know how we could ever stay on the same court with them. And then we came out on Saturday night, and that first half of that game was the finest first half that any team ever played for me. And I couldn't believe the score as I walked off the floor. I kept looking back and looking back. We were up by 18.
He was complimentary, and he was telling us that, you know what happened last time we played them, that we had to lead, and they came back, and to expect them to come back and just to keep our poise.
And we held on. We won that one. We went to the Final Four, and then we lost to Indiana State. But that was my ambition, was to get to the Final Four.
I don't know eventually when Joey will take over, and but it will be a mortal sin when Ray leaves the game.
I really believe that he does enjoy his basketball and his coaching, and I think and he enjoys DePaul, and I really think that's why he stays. I don't think it's a matter of change with him. You know, he always says that, but I don't think that's what it is, really. I know he doesn't want to retire. I realize that, and I mean, I'm a little afraid.
How do you know that?
Well, you said it.
We've never discussed it.
Not us, but you said it to other people. I've heard you say it to other people that you're afraid of it, that you don't like change and you're afraid.
Well, I just wonder what I'd do if I did retire. The other day we gave the boys off for practice, Monday. I think I walked around that building 20 times in the weight room, in the film room.
Yeah, but
I watch
that's
the
his
film.
habit.
Yeah, I got so much that. Well, it's the same way when there's nobody out school, and in June, I still go out there every day. I don't know why. There's nothing for me to do. I look at the four walls, and I talk to them. They talk back to me.
Well, if somebody offered him a good job, he'd retire. I'd see to it that he retired.
In other words, you're oh,
I'm not pushing you to retire, but if somebody offered you a good job, I'd ask you to retire. And we never do speak of retirement. This is the most we've ever talked about retirement. Scout's honor.